All right. Good
We're being recorded.
afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our box lunch episode live this wonderful, beautiful Monday, here coming to you from the Fort Worth Community Arts Center. A brand new week is upon us, and we have another fantastic artist rejoining us today. A little bit of a revisit, the one and only Bernardo Vallarino. Did I do that a little better today?
It's perfect. It's perfect. The accent was great. Good.
Bernardo, how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's awesome to be here and be back talking with you today.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so flattered that the first one didn't put you off and you decided to rejoin me for a second visit. Before we delve into all of today's wonderful items, do you mind just refreshing our audience with a brief introduction and letting us know a little bit about you and what it is you do?
I do a lot. But my name is Bernardo Vallarino, and I am a local sculptor. I have been working in art here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for the last 20 years. I'm mainly, like I said, a sculptor, but also an installation artist. And if you're familiar with my work, I am focused on elements related to human violence, abuse of power, and many other social issues that we kind of struggle with as a society. So that's what my art's all about.
Awesome. Well, I think what circled you back around with us today is that you are also a part of our exhibit coming up through the public art program over here at Pioneer Tower. And this is the New Stories, New Futures. You're one of 10 artists that will be exhibiting over here. And do you mind letting us in a little bit about how you came to be a part of that particular exhibit, and maybe a little bit of why you're so excited to have an opportunity to showcase over here?
Well, it was a complete surprise, mainly because when you think of Aurora, you think of digital art, art that's interactive, and those kind of venues for art. Being an installation artist, I was really surprised. However, they wanted me to incorporate kind of the submersiveness of my installations into the experience of Aurora. And so that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm bringing. I'm bringing a full-blown installation, one of the biggest one, if not the biggest one I've ever done, into Will Rogers. So I worried, ecstatic, you name it, about this project. But more than anything, extremely happy to have been thought of as a person who can kind of bring in this idea of immersiveness to simple things like light, sound, very, very simple things with the Aurora project.
Awesome. Yeah. And for those that don't know, Aurora's out of Dallas, and it's a huge video mapping art installation. And so they're coming over to help us do some stuff over at the Pioneer Tower. It is just really, really an exciting project coming up in August. And before we delve into some more of that, I have to say you had one of the top 10 on the box lunch menu items whenever we last spoke. I'm very curious to see what you're doing today. What's on your lunch menu today?
So I'm continuing with my Colombian menu. I am going to make something that for some people is kind of off-putting. It's a very traditional, everyday kind of meal for us for breakfast, and it's a milk-based soup, and it's called changua. It's very easy to make, but every time I make it, it takes me back to being a child, just waking up every morning and having this wonderful soup. And it's pretty easy to make. Actually, I'm going to go get started. It's just basically water, cilantro, some onion, and then you kind of let that simmer for a bit, and then you add the milk. And the thing that some people don't like is the fact that you poach some eggs in it. Oh. So it's a full breakfast soup. And for brunch is going to be great. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be making today.
Awesome. Well, I just returned from a little vacation trip, so I am trying to get rid of some more leftovers. It seems like that's all I ever do is eat leftovers. I guess the good news is you have to prep something prior. Today's not the case. It was just what was in the cooler as I emptied it all back out yesterday. So I'm having some chicken, beef, and cheese today. Now, again, I know a lot of people are always curious what I mean by my menu items. I am going with some of my classics today. The chicken is right there, and my beef, believe it or not, is absolutely fantastic. And so I've got a little beef stick there, jalapeno cheddar, and I'm going to give a little shout out to Sportsman Favorite. Picked this up in Colorado, and looking forward to that. So I'm going to be putting some of that onto my wonderful presentation here. And then, of course, the ever wonderful, easy.
So healthy.
I'm going all in
So
today,
healthy.
Bernardo. And I knew I would not be able to top your menu items. So I didn't even try. I'm just going with some good old-fashioned comfort food here. and for those of you that are wondering, I'm actually back in the office. So we have a client downstairs in the Scott Theater, and I didn't want to, do a bunch of cooking on a hot plate up here. So I thought I would take it easy. I am going to say, though, I found a wonderful flavor with some AHA sparkling water. And I do want to encourage people to give this a try. This one is peach and honey, and I did not think I would enjoy it, but I just want to say that that is a pleasurable surprise that I found whenever I actually picked this one up. So those are my lunch items today. I'm going to get things going, and we'll circle back around to see how my presentation is, but it looks like you've once again topped me, and I can't wait to see how those poached eggs turn out. So
Right now, the kitchen starting to smell like cilantro. It's this really, really Latin flavor. So it smells great. That's what I'm looking
the
back.
conference room smells like canned cheese right now.
Well, it's a great pairing with it. I mean, great pairing there.
If they would have let me bring in some wine, I may have tried to up my game a little bit. But
Well,
yeah, I just went with the sparkling water and thought I would call it all good. So, oh, go ahead, Bernardo.
I was gonna say, no drinking for me today. I'll be in the studio and I'll be working with power tools. Normally I would have, a little brunch drink, but not today. So I'm just
Absolutely. So is there a particular blend of lunch drink that goes well with the soup?
Coffee. I mean, as Colombians, it's kind of normally our breakfast drink. So that's
Maybe
what
a
I've been
splash of Kahlua as well.
drinking. We could have it, and it's right here in the countertop always, but not today. Like I said, I'm working with power tools. So safety first.
Now, Bernardo, before we jump into much to your current installation, I'm real curious now. You talked a little bit about the reflection of your work and the observations that you tend to try to focus in. I know that last year at the Nasher, I believe that may have been one of your most recent exhibitions, and it was the Thoughts and Prayers exhibition. Now, this is something that that I take to heart as well. I know that people very oftentimes have the best intentions in mind when they're choosing ways to express whatever it is that they're trying to get across. And when I was reading up on that last exhibit that you did, it really hit home with me. Do you mind maybe bringing folks up to speed, letting us know how that particular exhibition went? And what the reception was like, not only for people seeing it, but also for you. And if you have a different viewpoint on those particulars, or if you have only been supported in what it was you were trying to say with that.
Sure. So Beso de Paz has been an ongoing installation or project. I started way back in 2006, and I have been adding ribbons every time that there's been any kind of mass shooting or massacre. it all came from a personal dislike that I had towards kind of the hollowness of saying, you know, or wishing somebody good thoughts and prayers without any action really behind that. And whether that's political or just personal, that's just how I felt, that there was no real action. So I ended up in 2006 creating the ribbons as a physical manifestation of that hollowness, of that object that is pointless, basically. And it's kind of only used for kind of showing off that you're participating on this manner of some sort. And so I started creating the ribbons, and from then until now, I'm close to about 6,000 of them. And yeah, it just continues to grow. It's pretty large. And at the Nasher Sculpture Center, they really like the idea of this project that continues to happen, and there's a plurality of these really simple objects. And the thing that we added to it, and that I kind of have been doing in the past, is the performance of it. So we decided to do the performance as well at the Nasher. And that was something new for me, to actually do performance art in public. I've done it obviously through Facebook and live, but never through the live experience. And that was very different. It allowed me to converse, quote unquote, in this case, with the with the people who are participating or watching. So, in regards to changing its content, no, not really. It remains what it is, because it's so solemn, and it's kind of a way of remembrance. It retains its spirit, basically. So no, it hasn't really changed. It continues to grow, unfortunately, but it hasn't changed.
Wow. And reception, are people getting the message? I really don't know what else to say or how to define that.
No. Well, this is the deal with art. Those who want to make the effort to understand an artist's point of view and an artwork will make the effort of reading about it, understanding the artist and where the artist is coming from based on their trajectory and their work. And those who do that in my work will get it. Those who don't are just going to see a pile of ribbons on the floor, and that's as far as they're going to get. So I don't, quote unquote, worry. I don't look for that kind of understanding. I do it more as a personal reaction to something that I feel needs to be paid attention to, but that's as far as it gets.
Yeah. What do you consider to be that line between an artist creating a piece and their responsibility to the public? Is it just that simple? You make it, you throw it out there, and you just deal with it? And is there a point where you create art to elicit specific responses, awareness, or even reactions?
No, we all make art for people to understand, I think. And I make an effort to utilize imagery, materials, and things that connect with individuals as simple as possible. So I don't try to go too deep into, what can I say, these abstractions, but rather simplifications. So the information is there. The deal is, with my work, for example, is a layering of information. So you get one set of the basic information from the artwork on top of what it is, or I try to anyways. And then as people understand and make an effort to understand the artwork more, then they get the other layers behind the artwork. And it depends on the artist too. There's some artists that really don't require that need. For my work based on social commentary and social issues, I need the buy-in in some ways, or the understanding of the public for my concepts and ideas to go through. So I'm hoping that I'm answering your question correctly, but yeah, that's kind of where it stands.
Absolutely, you better believe it. So in that same regard, can you give us a little insight, or maybe a little teaser about the exhibition that's coming over here to Fort Worth for this project, and maybe give us a little insight as where that motivation and inspiration came from for this exhibit we can expect in August?
Sure. So, Lamentation is the name of the artwork or the piece, and it's an immersive installation, as I mentioned before, and as a spin-off series of sort from my series Simpatías sin Compasión. I've been working on a new set of symbology and imagery that not only works with the migrant, but also with minorities and the poor. So one of the things that's always caught my attention because of its macabre background is entomology boxes, the ones where you have these beautiful animals or insects and they're pinned, right? And people have them on their walls as these beautiful objects, but the reality is that they are just basically carcasses, right? And the thing that I'm really interested in is that if that insect was to be in reality alive and crawling on somebody's skin, they probably wouldn't want that, right? It's much more palpable, this experience with the insect when it's dead than it's when it's alive. So what I'm taking is this concept of approach of us to the insect to how many of us culturally interact with the poor, the migrant, and the minority, right? So we don't want to be around them. We're definitely the ones to touch us. We want them at a distance, and in some cases, unfortunately, we want them dead. So taking those concepts and applying them together. So how does this apply to the concept of the installation? I am taking this symbology from the butterfly case, from the insect case, and stretching it to a human scale. Normally, I work backwards to where I take things and minimize them, make them small. But in this case, I'm actually turning things around. So I will have things that are normally fairly small into a large scale to where our presence is the one that is the diminutive, is the small, and focusing on those three things: the minority, the migrant, and the poor.
Wow, it really does sound interesting. Now, you said interactive. Is this interactive as well, or is just the interaction simply the viewing of it? Multimedia, or is it just the boxes as well?
So it is not interactive. It is just immersive. I'm using all the possible layering information for an experience as I can. So I'm going to try to hit all of the sensory as I can. Probably taste the only one I won't be able to, but definitely visual, auditory, and smell for sure. So I'm going to try to hit all of those in order to create a sensation and a feeling. With a lot of my works, I try to get past the mind and go straight to the heart, and kind of having the emotions be the place where questions are asked, to where it then goes to your mind and you start kind of figuring out your own moral standing on the questions I'm portraying with my artwork. I want to replicate a feeling I had, or I've had in a few different places around the world where I lived, not where I live, where I traveled, I mean. And I apologize for all my I'm thinking too much. So there's a few places where I visited that have a specific feel to them that I want to replicate. And one of them is the Memorial of the Fallen in Spain, and it's this underground, massive cavernous memorial in which you walk in. It kind of looks like an old Gothic cathedral, but it's very Stalinistic. It's really tall, really sheer walls, and where behind the walls you have all the bodies of the those who perished in the civil war. So you have in both sides you have bodies buried on those walls. So it's this really, really humbling feeling of humanity. And then at the very end, there's this beautiful hung crucifix, and also the burial where what's the name used to be buried. I just went blank on the. Oh, anyways, and a coffin, and I forgot what it is, or a burial site at the very end. I'll remember in a minute. Anyway, so that's one of them, and the other one is the Scottish Museum for World War II, and that's in Scotland, in not Edinburgh, but I'm going blank this morning. But anyway, so the other one's in Scotland, and same thing. It's very harsh, but it has this Gothic cathedral feeling to it, and it's also the emotion of lives being lost. So I want to take that emotion, that feel of this quiet kind of reverence, and apply it to this installation. I want people to walk in, and as they walk in, that they're pushed to whisper, to feel, to kind of be dragged in by the sound, the light, or the lighting, the smell, and so forth, and the objects.
Wow. Now, I mentioned 10 artists coming along and exhibiting over here. It's my understanding that some will be outside, some will be inside as well. Sounds as though yours is going to be inside the Will Rogers. Is that correct?
So my installation will be inside the garage, and which works very well for the feel of the building, because I am using the architecture, already existing architecture of the columns, if you think about it, yep, and using them as if they were part of a Gothic cathedral columns. So you're gonna have, if you're to look straight down a colonnade garage, right? It would look really similar to the colonnade inside of a Gothic cathedral. And the idea is to, with very simple lighting, create that sense of chapels on the side as you're walking down the nave of a cathedral. And at the very end, you'll have this object that is going to be pseudo altar of sorts, with imagery that portrays to my artwork. In this case, it's going to be butterflies and a few other things.
Nice. Now, are you familiar with some of the other artists that are coming over, or will you get to experience these other artists' work firsthand as well for the first time, so to speak?
No, I've known some of the other artists as well work. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I have an idea. And mine will depart, quite a bit from all of theirs, just because mine tends to have such strong social commentary in regards to, in a globalistic format, right? So I'm looking forward to see that that interactivity between their work and mine. I'm also going to have a second installation there, the one that I showed at the Meadow Museum of Art, which is presenting 2020. That one, it is an interactive piece of work where I will be actually inside the installation. Wow. And I'll be participating with the audience. So they won't be able to see me, but I'll be there making stamping words. So I'll have two pieces.
Nice. So is the Will Rogers a new venue for you? Is outside, inside, creating art inside an existing building? Is that something new for you? Does your art tend to be all-encompassing in regards to you yourself, bring the framing, so to speak, put the art into it? Or is this a new experience where you were inspired or fit your vision into the logistics of opportunity?
So as an installation artist, there's two ways to approach. Either it can be site-specific or not site-specific, right? A lot of my works tend to be non-site-specific. That way I can expand and contract them as needed, depending on the space, as I am requested to put the installation in. For this specific work, just like with all my other works, these ideas have been in my sketchbook for a while. And it just happened to be that because of 2020, I was not able to make this installation happen in a much smaller scale in a different location last year. So when I was approached to doing this project and looking at the architectural possibilities with the garage, I thought it was a perfect fit to kind of create what I was going to do in 2020 in a much grander scale or perspective. So that's, it just depends. I very seldom make artwork just out of nowhere. It's very, very seldom that happens. Normally I go back to my sketchbook and I look at what's there, what I have been thinking about for a while. Just because you have to understand that when I make artwork, the artwork relates to individuals' lives and it requires that amount of respect. And I really have to make sure that what I'm making, what I'm doing goes along with that line of suffering. So nothing comes out of the blue.
Wow. Do you feel a burden taking on such topical components? And it just seems like it would weigh on you personally. Is this a cathartic experience for you as an artist, or do you carry those burdens with you as a person as well, even once the art's completed?
I think it's a burden. I think it's a responsibility. We all as artists have the responsibility to speak out of things that we don't see right. I just happen to be very vocal about the things that I see that are non-congruent with what the things we do, right? Now I make a point that when I'm making the artwork and I'm discussing these issues, that I'm clean, that I'm clean on regards to the way that I edit my work, the way that I approach my work, that I educate myself about my work, all of those things. But at bottom line, all artists have basically the same responsibility with society. So no, and I've never felt a burden. I feel lucky that I was able to, because of my own background in Colombia and then in the States, that I've been able to use my artistic voice to do things like that and to bring those issues to the front, but never the burden.
Well, we're very lucky to have you, and
Thank you.
I really wish more people were as aware of some of these things as you seem to be, and I just certainly hope that people continue to take the time to come and experience these great things, because I just really believe that I've had a lot of debates about art being simply entertainment or having some sort of value beyond just passing the time, so to speak. And it's very inspiring to hear the topics that you're taking on, and the way you challenge not only yourself as an artist, but also the people to embrace those ideas as well, I think is absolutely phenomenal. So thank you for taking those things on. And speaking of taking things on, I'm curious to know, how did the poached eggs turn out? Are they still poaching or moving forward?
No, they're good. They're good. Everything's getting ready.
Good. Holy cow! Are you already plating?
Yeah, I just put it back in there. I'm gonna let it cool off a little bit. It'll be too hot. And
now,
I'm just gonna add.
Why do you consider poached eggs to be off-putting?
Well, inside milk. Not me. I love it. It's just a conversation that I've had with people before about this soup. It's like, especially if you don't like cilantro or warm milk, this is not a soup for you. But yeah, like, a little cilantro and onions. Which, by the way, if you like liver and onions, this little mix is really good.
I think I'd rather deal with the poached eggs and milk.
Okay, you see, and then I like to. In Colombia, we have a kind of bread that it's hard. It's kind of like crouton, but it's round like this. And normally we put it in a changua, but in this case, since they're not in Colombia, I normally use croutons, so I just added croutons to it, and there you go.
Oh my
goodness. Changua.
Well, it certainly looks delicious. And
There
I
you
guess
go, like cool off.
I was going to say, since it's meant to be eaten hot or warm, maybe I should start circling around and start wrapping this up a little bit. So
It's okay.
I just want to let people know, for anyone interested, you can find out more details about the New Stories, New Futures at www.newstoriesnewfutures.org. You can see all of the great things that are going to be happening. And what are you most hoping that people take away from not only your exhibit, but also the group as a whole from this particular exhibit that's coming up in August?
Oh, dear Lord. Let's see. Yeah, that's just taught me on that one. What do I want people to get out of it? An understanding of what forward art looks like. You know, we have this kind of stereotypical idea what forward art should look like, but not what it really is. We are as artists here in Fort Worth, we're very progressive. We have many different and contemporary ways of approaching art that is not just your kind of standard stereotypical way of approaching art. So I really hope that Fort Worth community gets to change their minds a little bit about what Fort Worth art looks like, what it's supposed to look like, and what it really looks like, right? So that would be something that I would love for people to get out of this.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I myself feel as though some of the artistry over here in Fort Worth is often overshadowed, and I certainly agree that we need more eyes on some of these fantastic artists that are coming, because they are doing some great work for sure, and also some very, very important messages as well. So we're very happy to have you be a part of that, and so look forward to this incredible exhibit that's coming up. Again, for those that are interested, this is the New Stories, New Future at Pioneer Towers. It's going on August 20th and 21st, 2021, live and in person. Very, very exciting, from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. All you have to do is just reserve a time. It is absolutely free. Just make that reservation so you get your own slot. And again, just for anyone that's interested, you can find out more information at www.newstoriesnewfutures.org. Bernardo, I can't thank you enough. Any final wonderful thoughts or inspiration for the people that are watching us out there?
Only that we're extremely lucky to be able to have you guys and everybody just supporting us, as well as for the city for having this kind of installation work and new media work in our city. So thank you, everybody.
Oh, thank you. We're very lucky to have you, and also just all of these fantastic artists that put in the work and bring these great pieces to life for sure. So thank you. And I'm going to show you my artwork for the day, and we'll see what you think about my presentation, live and in person.
There you go.
That little cheese dip there. And with that being said, my friend, grab your bowl real quick, and we will sign off to everybody that is watching out there. Again, we can't thank you folks enough for joining us. Bernardo, it's always a pleasure to visit with you. That soup looks amazing. I think I may be willing to try some poached eggs and milk, as long as you never served me liver and onions.
You sound like my husband. By the way, happy Friday, everybody.
Indeed. All right, folks, that wraps up another edition of Box Lunch. We'll be back next Monday. Check us out again real soon, and God bless everybody. Be safe out there. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.